Basketball Wives episode 9 review. So this episode starts with Evelyn looking for some models for her, loungewear, bodysuit, whatever she be doing, her little SG line. Evelyn trying to beat her colorism allegation. She got a lot of dark skinned models. So now we see Jennifer and Christian walking the dog and just talking about his restitution. He's like, they're constantly texting him, reminding him about the amount he has left and when it's due. So we see Jaceel and Brandy, and Jaceel is at her first swimming lessons ever, so she doesn't know how to swim. So this is good because I feel like every adult needs to know how to swim. I personally grew up across the street from like one of those city pools in New York City, so I always knew how to swim. But I know it's a skill that they say a lot of black people don't have, and we need to have it. So good on Jaceel. Jaceel was like, this is not as easy as it looks. Mind you, they was in like a 3'6" pool. So Brandy was like, girl, if you feel like you're gonna drop, you just have to stand up. So they start talking about how the wedding was so nice, and Jaceel was like, I know what I signed up for, but it's really hard. I didn't even get to spend 24 hours with Natasha because she had to go right back to work, which is basically the purpose of this girls trip that they doing. It's like a mix of Jaceel getting a honeymoon, Jen having a bachelorette, Brooke celebrating her divorce. It's a whole lot of transformational or transformative times going on in these women's lives, so makes sense. They also talk about where Brandy and Brooke stand, and Brandy's just like, she's mad at me, but I feel like I'm being more truthful than the other ones. I'm being a real friend. It's nothing wrong with me being concerned and like protective of her, especially because Brooke also has, opinions on me and Jason's relationship, and she voices them to me. And Brandy was basically like, it just seems like Evelyn is out to try to make Brooke be mad at me because she got up from the table to go tell Brooke what me and Jen was talking about. But she did kind of only make it sound like it was Brandy talking when Brandy and Jen were both talking about Brooke. I mean, Brandy did bring it up, but Jen engaged in the conversation. Jackie goes to meet up with Evelyn. They come in and hug. And I'm just like, so again, y'all did all of this for what? Y'all about to make up again after you done put out that Jackie a prostitute. Like, and Evelyn made a good point. She doesn't know if Jackie values any of these women's friendship, and I agree. So if y'all are going to keep her on the show because she brings the ratings, y'all need to start treating her like a coworker. Everybody you on a reality show with isn't your friend. So Jackie really didn't have a reason why she was talking about Evelyn. She said she felt like they all had turned against her with the Brooke situation. And basically, she's been friends with Sunday for over 10 years, so she thought that she was just venting to her friend about her other group of friends. Now, you can do that, but not to the extent of you talking about sending Jen's nudes and stuff like that. Like, that's a little too much. So they apologize to each other for the things that they've said, and then Jackie's like, well, I will tell you I've never been a prostitute. That must have been a case of mistaken identity or AI. Jackie says she don't even know how to give oral, and she would have been the worst prostitute in the world. And Evelyn invites Jackie to the girls' trip and tells her that she could bring Cheyenne. Evelyn is definitely one of those people who feels like if I made up with everybody, everybody needs to make up with that person. Because just earlier in the season, she was mad that Jackie was invited to that dinner by Brandy, and she was like, oh, why would you put Brooke around Brandy without giving her any heads up, this, that, and the third? But now you just invited Jackie on this trip without asking Brooke how she felt about it. I'm sure she's going to tell Brooke, like, oh, Jackie's coming, so it's not going to be a surprise, but you still invited her without even checking with Brooke if that was okay and if she felt like being around her after what happened the last time they saw each other, which wasn't good. So I told you at the beginning of the episode, Evelyn was looking for some models, so now she's throwing a launch event for these maxi dresses, which is like her newest product in her SG line. So all the girls and some influencers are coming over to see the launch event, and that'll help her decide if she wants to move forward with the maxi dress collection or not. So when Brandy came in, she asked Brooke, like, are we doing hugs? And Brooke was just like, hi. Like, she didn't want to give her a hug. So Brandy was like, okay. So the dresses were cute. Everybody seemed to like them. So I'm assuming Evelyn will move forward with this. So Evelyn, like, had this thing where you could take pictures. So Brandy was like, oh, let's go take a picture. Her, Brooke, Jen, and Jaceel. And Brooke was acting like she didn't want to get in the picture. So they all go sit down instead. And Jen is like, so are y'all going to make up before we go on this trip to Mexico? And Brooke was like, no. So Brandy was like, what are you mad at? And Brooke was like, why would you tell my business to Jen before I even get a chance to tell my own business to Jen? So Brandy was like, oh, we've all talked about it. And Brooke was like, yeah, but you were being shady, saying the fairy tale is over. And Brandy was like, well, isn't it? And Brooke was like, no, we just have bad timing right now. So we're taking a break. Haven't you and Jason taken breaks before? Or haven't you taken breaks before in your relationships? And Brandy was like, yeah, I have. And Brooke was like, yeah, so you should know what it's like. And Brandy was like, are you throwing a dig? So Jaceel got up and tried to get in the middle of them. They was both still sitting down, but she just stood in the middle and was like, y'all need to stop. We at Evelyn event. And Brooke was like, well, y'all the ones who wanted to have this conversation here. And Jaceel was like, me and Jen didn't think it was going to go this way. And Brandy basically was like, bottom line, it's my opinion. And I said what I said. So either you could get over it or you won't. So they started talking about Jen's situation with Christian, and she was basically saying how, Christian was in this toxic relationship. It was some domestic violence involved, and he got accused of false imprisonment. And Jen was like, he really should have just let the girl go and get into a car crash or whatever she was going to do. I guess the girl might have been under the influence or something. And Brandy was like, I just feel like this is an insensitive conversation and Jen needs to shut up, which I kind of did agree. Like, Jen wasn't reading the room because you're sitting there with Evelyn, who's a DV victim, and you're sitting there with Brooke, whose daughter died in a car wreck. But obviously she wasn't doing it on purpose. It just came with the conversation of her responding to them, asking her about Christian's restitution and how she's like, preparing for the wedding and everything. That was just a part of it. So Evelyn tells them that she invited Jackie on the trip. They're all in shock, and she's all telling them they need to give Jackie a chance. And they're just like, girl, what? Like, you was the main one against her. Especially Jacelle, because y'all know she's the peacemaker. She's like, didn't Evelyn just try to chew me up about this? So we see Jen going to lunch with somebody, and she's like, well, since the guest list is still growing and Jackie's invited, I have somebody I wanted to invite. Now, I was thinking it was going to be Sunday because she's the person who, like, Brooke had got all this tea from. But it was Laura Govan, one of my least favorite basketball wives of all time. Laura revealed something that I didn't know, which is that she knew Jackie since she was 18. She does seem in a more healing space than she was when she came on the show originally. She said that she does still feel bad about the fact that she had like talked to Jackie's daughter all those seasons ago, if y'all remember. So she seems like she's coming in with a better energy, and she is going to be joining the girls trip. So they're on their way to the girls trip, and Brandy is just like, I don't even understand how Jackie wants to come on this trip being invited by Evelyn. Evelyn just spent 1,000 hours private investigating her, literally. So the ladies get to the hotel, they're greeted, they have a drink, and then we see Cheyenne and Jackie on their plane. Cheyenne has this suitcase with her face on it. So they're off the plane and they're on their way in a car, and they're just talking about basically Brooke and how the last time they both saw Brooke, it was a blowout. So Jackie and Cheyenne come in the hotel. Evelyn and Jackie are hugging, and everybody's like, wait, they besties? Like, and Brooke was just like, who are you right now? Like, feeling a way about Evelyn. Like, she know what I've been through with Cheyenne and Jackie, so for her to be here being all buddy with them is crazy. Her inviting them was even crazy, like I said. Jen was like, I don't even know who this bitch is right now, and I've known her for 20 years. And Brooke was like, I hope she's not turning into an op. So now that they've all arrived, they go to this like welcome lunch. So they have little food, and they have like a mariachi band playing for them. So basically there was the presidential suite, which holds 4, and then there was 3 other rooms. So Evelyn and Jen planned the trip, so of course they're 2 of the people in the presidential suite, and then they also chose Brooke and Brandy. So Jackie, Cheyenne, and Jacelle will get their own rooms. Jackie talking about, I need to play with myself anyway, so I need my own room. And then Cheyenne got up with her, and Jacelle was like, so she going to help you? And yeah, they was like, yeah, she coming to help me. Like, Brooke said, I'm not against a little self-pleasure, but that cat been getting pounded since the 80s. Give it a rest. So after Cheyenne and Jackie leave the room, Brooke, Brandy, and Jacelle basically confront Evelyn and are like, you know, you have these double standards, and you feel like we all supposed to be cool with them because you're cool with them now. So Evelyn was like, oh, well, she wasn't taking accountability then, but she's taking it now. And Brooke was like, she's only taking accountability for you. And Evelyn agreed. And Brandy was like, honestly, her deflection is rubbing off on you. Somehow Evelyn brought up how Brandy took her husband's apologies when he cheated on her. And Brandy was like, what does my husband have to do with this? So Brandy was like, speaking of my husband, he's calling me. So she got up to walk away. And Evelyn was like, yeah, I'm glad he's calling you and not somebody else. And Brandy was like, well, you need to get a man. So of course, Brandy went and talked to Jason and was just like, you know, I'm tired of people bringing your stuff up, you know, as a weapon against me. He apologized, but of course that's never going to stop. So it is what it is. Okay, so this is the last scene. The ladies are meeting up for dinner. So at first only Evelyn and Jackie were there, and Evelyn told her, like, you know, they're giving me shit for inviting you and being nice to you. So Cheyenne, Brooke, and Brandy get to the table. It's getting very awkward now. But Evelyn is trying to be nice to Brandy, but Brandy not feeling it. So Jacelle comes in, and Jen comes walking up with Laura, and they're like, who the fuck is this? So once everybody realizes it's Laura, they're like, oh shit. And then you see Jackie in her confessional like, yeah, me and Laura got some unfinished business, so let's start it now. We see Laura sit down at the table. They're looking at each other, and the episode ends there. So I'll see y'all next week for episode 10. All right, bye, guys.